The rain pattered against the observatory dome as Nathan Reed adjusted the massive telescope's controls, muttering under his breath about atmospheric interference. The remote mountain facility was his sanctuary, a place where he could pursue his research into potential extraterrestrial signals without the skeptical eyes of his academic colleagues. Tonight, something was different. The readings from the quantum detector he'd designed were showing patterns he'd never seen before. Thunder rolled across the peaks as Nathan cross-referenced the data against known phenomena. His fingers flew across the keyboard, dark eyes intense behind his wire-rimmed glasses. The signal was unlike anything in his database, a precise, repeating sequence that couldn't be natural. His heart raced as he realized what this could mean. A flash of blue light outside the window caught his attention. Nathan froze, then slowly turned toward the rain-streaked glass. There, hovering silently above the observatory's parking lot, was a sleek craft about the size of a small car. Its surface rippled like liquid metal in the storm's flashes. "This isn't happening," he whispered, reaching for his phone to document what he was seeing. Before he could unlock it, the craft disappeared. Nathan blinked, wondering if he'd finally worked too many late nights. Then he heard it, footsteps on the metal stairs leading to the observatory's main level. The door opened with a soft hiss. Nathan turned, expecting to see one of the maintenance staff, though no one ever came up here this late. Instead, he found himself face to face with a tall, ethereal woman with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to shift color like an aurora. She wore what looked like a form-fitting suit made of the same fluid metal as the craft. "Dr. Nathan Reed," she said, her voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. "I am Vera, xenosociologist of the Celestial Sciences Academy. Your work has drawn our attention." Nathan's scientific mind warred with his instinct to run. "You've been monitoring my research?" "Yes. Your quantum detection methods are surprisingly sophisticated for your civilization's development level." She tilted her head, studying him with those mesmerizing eyes. "Though your conclusions about our communication patterns were incorrect, your approach showed remarkable intuition." Nathan steadied himself against his desk. "Why reveal yourself now?" "Because you came dangerously close to detecting our observation posts. The Academy decided direct contact would be preferable to you accidentally exposing our presence." Vera stepped closer, her movements fluid and precise. "I was sent to evaluate you." "Evaluate me?" Nathan's scientific curiosity began to overcome his shock. "You mean study me? Like an experiment?" A slight smile curved Vera's metallic lips. "Initially, yes. But I find myself intrigued. Your species is considered primitive by my people's standards, yet you personally have demonstrated remarkable insight. It's unexpected." Thunder crashed outside, making Nathan jump. Vera didn't flinch. "Your emotional responses are fascinating," she observed. "So immediate, so honest. My people pride themselves on logic and control, yet I sense there may be something we've lost in pursuing pure rationality." "We're not as primitive as you think," Nathan said, drawing himself up. "We may not have mastered interstellar travel, but humanity has achievements your people might not understand. Art. Music. Poetry. The ability to find beauty in chaos." Vera's eyes flickered with interest. "Show me." Nathan hesitated, then turned to his computer. He pulled up images from the Hubble telescope, nebulae swirling with color, galaxies spiraling through the void, stellar nurseries blazing with new life. "We see this and create symphonies, paintings, stories. We don't just observe the universe, we feel it." Vera stepped closer, her shoulder nearly touching his as she studied the images. "You find beauty in things we merely categorize," she murmured. Perhaps there is more to learn here than my superiors anticipated." The rain continued to drum against the dome as they stood there, human and alien, beginning to bridge a gap between worlds neither had imagined possible. Neither knew it yet, but this moment would change everything, for them, for their civilizations, and for the future of both their species. "Tell me more," Vera said softly, her eyes fixed on the cosmic images. "Tell me about how humans dream." 2 weeks after first contact, Vera found herself doing something unprecedented in her centuries of scientific work. She was breaking protocol. Rather than maintaining professional distance, she had begun spending every evening at the observatory, ostensibly observing human behavior but increasingly engaged in what her superiors would consider unnecessary interaction. Tonight, Nathan was attempting to explain the concept of music to her. He had brought in what he called a vinyl record player, insisting that she needed to experience music in its most authentic form. As the first notes of Holst's "The Planets" filled the observatory, Vera felt an unfamiliar sensation in her chest. The composer wrote this suite inspired by the astrological character of each planet, Nathan explained, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. Listen to how Mars begins, threatening, powerful. He captured the essence of the god of war without ever seeing the planet's surface. Vera closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her. Her people had sound art, of course, precisely calculated frequencies designed to enhance cognitive function. But this was different. Raw. Emotional. "It's chaotic," she said. "Yet structured. Like the universe itself." "Exactly." Nathan leaned forward, running a hand through his perpetually disheveled dark hair. "That's what I've been trying to explain about humanity. We find patterns in chaos, beauty in imperfection. It's what drives our science, our art, everything." Vera opened her eyes to find Nathan watching her intently. The way he looked at her was unlike anything she'd experienced in her long life, not as a specimen to be studied or a superior to be respected, but as an equal. A friend. Perhaps, something more. The thought should have alarmed her. Instead, she found herself asking, "Would you teach me more?" Over the following days, their evening sessions expanded beyond music. Nathan introduced her to poetry, to painting, to the simple pleasure of stargazing without analytical purpose. Each new experience shifted something within her, awakening feelings she hadn't known she possessed. But as Vera's fascination with human culture grew, so did her unease about her mission's true purpose. During her mandatory daily reports to the Academy, she began noticing concerning patterns in their questions. They seemed less interested in human culture and more focused on Earth's defensive capabilities, resource locations, and political friction points. One evening, as Nathan showed her how to use watercolors to paint the sunset, her communicator chirped with an urgent message. She excused herself, stepping outside to receive it. Researcher Vera, her supervisor's stern face appeared in holographic form. "Your latest reports show concerning levels of cultural contamination. You appear to be forming emotional attachments. This is unacceptable. My methods are yielding valuable insights into human psychology," Vera defended, conscious of how much she'd changed by the very fact she was arguing with a superior. "Your mission parameters are being modified. The Evaluation Council has determined that humanity's rapid technological advancement poses a potential future threat. You are to begin gathering strategic information for containment protocols." Vera felt cold despite the warm evening air. "Containment protocols? Surely you don't mean dash. The decision has been made. Humanity's development must be controlled for the greater good of galactic stability. You will comply." The transmission ended, leaving Vera staring at the darkening sky. Through the observatory window, she could see Nathan cleaning his brushes, humming quietly to himself. The thought of her people, containing humanity's beautiful chaos, made her feel physically ill. Back inside, Nathan looked up with a smile that faded when he saw her expression. "Everything okay?" Vera touched the painting she'd been working on, clumsy, imperfect, alive with color. In that moment, she made a decision that would change both their worlds. "Nathan," she said quietly, "there's something I need to tell you. About why I was really sent here." She watched his eyes widen as she explained everything, about the academy, their plans, her growing doubts. When she finished, silence filled the observatory. The same silence that had once felt comfortable now seemed to crackle with tension. "So your people want to stop us from developing? Keep us contained?" Nathan's voice was carefully controlled. "And you're telling me this why?" "Because." Vera struggled to articulate feelings she was only beginning to understand. "Because in studying humanity, I've learned something my people have forgotten. The value of freedom. Of creativity. Of connection." She met his eyes. "I won't be part of destroying that." Nathan stood very still, processing. Finally, he asked, "What will they do to you? For warning me? Best case? Recall and reprogramming. Worst case? Well, let's say my people can be efficiently final with those they consider compromised." Vera tried to smile but couldn't quite manage it. "Then we'll have to stop them." Nathan's voice was firm. "Together." Vera blinked. "You'd help me? Even after learning I was sent to study you like a laboratory specimen?" Nathan picked up the sunset painting she'd made. "Look at this. It's messy, the colors are all wrong, and it's absolutely beautiful because it's real. It's honest." He set it down gently. "Like you're being honest now, even though it puts you at risk." How could I not help? Outside, stars began appearing in the darkening sky, the same stars that had brought them together, now twinkling with both promise and threat. Vera felt something warm on her hand and looked down to find Nathan had taken it in his. "So," he said with a slight smile, "want to help me save the world?" The quantum detection array Nathan had built sparked to life, its warning lights casting an eerie glow through the observatory. Vera's face paled to an almost translucent silver as she read the incoming data. "They're here. 3 ships just entered high orbit." Nathan rushed to his computer, fingers flying across the keyboard as he pulled up his advanced tracking system. "I'm reading unusual energy signatures. Much bigger than your ship." He glanced at Vera. "Containment vessels? Worse. Suppression ships." Vera's voice was tight. "They're capable of generating quantum fields that can disable technology across an entire continent. Your civilization would be thrown back to pre-industrial levels within hours." Through the dome's windows, the night sky remained deceptively peaceful. Stars twinkled as they had for millennia, giving no hint of the threat lurking above. Nathan and Vera had spent the past week preparing for this moment, but now that it had arrived, both felt the weight of what was at stake. "Incoming transmission," Vera announced as her communicator hummed to life. A stern face materialized in the air between them, High Commander Rydell of the Academy's Intervention Force. "Researcher Vera," his voice was cold as space itself. "Your behavior has been noted. Return to your ship immediately. This is your only warning." Nathan stepped forward, deliberately placing himself beside her. "She's not going anywhere." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Ah, the human specimen. How disappointing to see our fears confirmed. Vera, you've allowed yourself to become emotionally compromised by a primitive species. Your contributions to the Academy will be remembered, but your time is over." "You're wrong about them," Vera's voice carried a passion that would have been unthinkable to her months ago. "Humanity isn't a threat to be contained, they're a species with incredible potential. Their creativity, their resilience dash. Their chaos," Rydell cut in. "Their violence. Their unpredictability. We've seen countless civilizations like them destroy themselves. The containment protocols exist for a reason." "And what about free will?" Nathan challenged. "The right of species to determine their own destiny? A ghost of a smile crossed Rydel's face. An admirable but naive sentiment. Vera, you have 1 hour to comply. After that, we begin deployment of the suppression fields. And if you choose to remain. His eyes hardened. You will share their fate. The transmission cut off. Nathan turned to Vera, seeing the conflict in her iridescent eyes. I won't ask you to give up everything for us, he said softly. For me. Vera walked to the window, placing her hand against the glass. Above them, invisible to human eyes but clear to her enhanced vision, the suppression ships moved into position. Everything she had ever known, her entire civilization structure and order, stood ready to pass judgment on humanity's chaos. When I first arrived, she said quietly, I thought I understood everything. Humans were subjects to be studied, specimens to be catalogued. But you showed me something my people have forgotten, that there's beauty in uncertainty, in the messy, complicated way humans approach life. She turned to face Nathan. You taught me to paint badly, to laugh at myself, to find joy in imperfection. How could I go back to a world of cold precision after that? They'll strip you of everything, Nathan reminded her. Your position, your identity in their society. No. Vera's voice grew stronger. They'll strip me of my rank and my access to their technology. But the things that really matter? She touched her chest. The ability to feel, to choose, to love. Those belong to me now. And I choose this. I choose Earth. I choose you. Nathan crossed the room in 3 strides, taking her hands in his. Then we fight. But how? They can disable all our technology with the flip of a switch. A smile slowly spread across Vera's face, not the measured expression of her people, but a real, human-like grin. That's just it, they expect us to fight with technology. But you humans have taught me there's always another way. Remember what you told me about your history? About how humans have overcome superior forces through creativity and unexpected strategies. You have an idea? Better. Vera squeezed his hands. I have a human idea. Chaotic, improbable, and just crazy enough to work. She glanced at her communicator, then back to the sky where the ships waited. We have 53 minutes to save humanity. Want to hear something that would make my old professors at the academy have a collective meltdown? For the first time since the ships arrived, Nathan felt hope spark in his chest. He pulled Vera close, no longer caring about proper protocol or interspecies propriety. Tell me everything. Nathan watched in amazement as Vera's fingers danced across her holocomputer, streams of alien code flowing through the air like liquid light. They had barricaded themselves in the observatory's basement, surrounded by a makeshift array of equipment cobbled together from both human and alien technology. My people's greatest weakness, Vera explained as she worked, is their absolute certainty in their own superiority. They've never had to consider that a primitive species might understand something they don't. And what exactly do we understand? Nathan asked, connecting another set of quantum sensors to his modified radio telescope array. The power of chaos. Vera's eyes sparkled with an almost human excitement. Look at this. She pulled up a complex diagram showing the suppression ship's energy signatures. Their technology operates on perfect synchronization, every system precisely aligned, every frequency exactly calibrated. Nathan studied the patterns, his scientific mind racing. Like a perfect crystal structure. Beautiful, but brittle, Vera finished. One significant disruption in the pattern. And the whole thing shatters. Nathan grinned. That's why you had me modify the quantum detection array to emit random frequencies. Random to them, yes. But actually. Vera's fingers flew across the holographic controls. I've been analyzing human music. The patterns in your classical compositions, the mathematical structures underlying what you call harmony. We're going to broadcast a symphony to their ships. Nathan blinked. We're going to defeat an advanced alien fleet with Mozart? Better. Vera pulled up a familiar piece of sheet music. Remember what you told me about Holst's Mars, the bringer of war? About how it captures chaos and power? We're going to use your observatory's dishes to amplify it, converting the musical patterns into quantum frequencies that will disrupt their perfect synchronization. A warning flashed across Vera's displays. They're starting their deployment sequence. 15 minutes until the suppression fields activate. Nathan's hands steadied as he made the final connections. Years of precise astronomical work had prepared him for moments requiring absolute focus. But won't they detect the power build-up from the broadcast? They would, Vera smiled, if it came from their technology. But we're using your primitive equipment in ways they've never imagined. They're looking for energy signatures they understand. This? She gestured to their hybrid array. This is human ingenuity combined with alien knowledge. Something entirely new. As they worked, Vera's communicator crackled again. Commander Rydell's voice filled the room. Final warning, researcher Vera. Our sensors detect unusual activity at your location. Surrender now or dash. Vera cut the transmission. You know what's fascinating, she said, making final adjustments to their improvised broadcasting system. In all my years of studying alien civilizations, I never understood why some species chose art over efficiency, emotion over logic. My people saw it as a weakness. She looked at Nathan, her silver skin flushing slightly. Now I understand it's humanity's greatest strength. How so? Nathan asked, even as he checked the power readings one last time. Because it makes you adaptable. Unpredictable. When faced with overwhelming odds, you don't follow logical protocols, you create something new. You take what should be impossible and make it reality through sheer determination and creativity. She reached for his hand. You taught me that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is break all the rules. The warning systems blared. Above them, the suppression ships began powering up their containment fields. The air itself seemed to vibrate with building energy. Ready? Vera asked, her hand hovering over the activation sequence. Nathan took a deep breath, thinking of all humanity had to lose, their technology, their progress, their freedom to reach for the stars. But more than that, he thought of Vera, who had chosen to risk everything because she believed in human potential. Ready, he confirmed. Let's show your people why they shouldn't underestimate human chaos. Vera initiated the sequence. Through the basement's small window, they could see the observatory's massive dishes turning, aligning with the invisible threat above. As the first notes of Holst's Mars movement began converting into quantum frequencies, the equipment around them hummed with power. 10 seconds until suppression field activation, Vera announced, her voice tight with tension. 9, 8. Nathan squeezed her hand. Whatever happens, he said softly, I'm glad you chose chaos. The dishes reached their final position. The music swelled. And high above Earth, the perfectly ordered ships of the Academy were about to experience something they had never encountered before, the raw, unstoppable power of human creativity weaponized through alien technology. 3, 2, 1. The universe, Nathan had always believed, was built on harmony, even in its most chaotic elements. As Holst's Mars transformed into quantum frequencies and shot skyward, human music and alien technology merged into something entirely new. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The suppression ship's perfect crystalline energy patterns began to fracture. Vera's holographic displays showed cascading disruptions as the musical quantum waves collided with their synchronized systems. Above Earth, the massive ships stuttered in their orbits, their containment fields flickering and failing. It's working. Vera's eyes were wide as she monitored the readings. Their systems are destabilizing faster than I calculated. The harmonic patterns in your music, they're creating quantum resonances I've never seen before. Through the basement window, they could see the night sky coming alive with auroral displays as the ship's energy fields collapsed. Commander Rydell's voice crackled through Vera's communicator, shock replacing his usual cold authority. What is this? Our systems are impossible. Not impossible, Vera responded, letting him hear the smile in her voice. Just beautifully unpredictable. Like humanity itself. The commander's response was lost in a burst of static as their broadcast reached full strength. The hybrid array they'd built hummed with power, dishes turning to track the ships as they struggled to maintain their positions. In orbit, the mighty vessels of the Academy's intervention force found themselves being conducted like unwilling instruments in an cosmic orchestra. They're trying to compensate, Nathan observed, watching the energy patterns shift. But they can't predict the music's progression. Every time they adapt to one pattern, the next movement changes everything, Vera finished. Just like you told me, human music isn't just about perfect mathematical progression. It's about emotion, about surprise, about the beauty of unexpected changes. The ship's attempts to fight back grew increasingly erratic. Their perfectly ordered systems, faced with the controlled chaos of human musical patterns, began to shut down. One by one, their suppression field generators overloaded and went dark. But victory came with a price. Their makeshift broadcasting array was never meant to channel such power. As the final notes of Mars reached toward the stars, their equipment began to fail. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits. The observatory's ancient backup generator groaned in protest. "We need to shut it down," Nathan warned, seeing the danger signs. The whole system's about to dash. The explosion knocked them both off their feet. When the dust settled, their hybrid array was a smoking ruin. But through the window, they could see the suppression ships retreating, their perfect formation broken, their threat neutralized by nothing more than the power of human creativity amplified through alien technology. Vera's communicator crackled one final time. Commander Rydell's voice was different now, humbled, perhaps even slightly awed. "The Council will need to reassess its understanding of human potential. And perhaps our own assumptions as well." A pause. "Researcher Vera, your status is unclear. This situation is unprecedented." "Then let me make it clear," Vera replied, standing tall beside Nathan. "I choose Earth. Not as a researcher, not as a specimen, but as someone who has learned that there is more to existence than perfect order. If the Council truly wishes to understand humanity, they need to accept that sometimes the most profound discoveries come from embracing chaos rather than containing it." Silence stretched across the stars. Finally, Rydell spoke again. "The Council will consider your words. And your choice." The communication ended. As dawn began to paint the sky, Nathan and Vera emerged from the basement to survey their damaged observatory. The dishes were scorched, equipment fried, but the building still stood, much like Earth itself, battered but unbowed. "They'll be back, won't they?" Nathan asked, watching the sunrise. "Maybe not to contain us, but they'll want to understand what happened here." "Yes," Vera agreed, "but differently this time, I hope. What we did here, combining your music with my technology, it's proof that our civilizations could learn from each other instead of fearing our differences." She turned to face him. "They'll need someone to help bridge that gap. Someone who understands both worlds." Nathan smiled, taking her hand. "Good thing I know a xenosociologist who's pretty good at bridging gaps between worlds." "Former xenosociologist," Vera corrected, then laughed, a sound as bright and real as the rising sun. "Though I suppose I haven't stopped studying humanity. I've just changed my methodology." Above them, the morning stars faded into blue sky. Somewhere up there, the Academy's council was confronting the reality that their perfect order had been disrupted by nothing more than human music and determination. But here, in the quiet dawn, two beings from different worlds stood together, proof that sometimes the most beautiful things in the universe emerge from embracing the unexpected. "So," Nathan said, surveying the damaged observatory, "ready to help me rebuild? We've got a lot of work to do if we're going to be Earth's first interstellar cultural exchange center." Vera's response was to pull him close and kiss him, another chaotic, imperfect, absolutely beautiful human gesture she'd learned to love. Sometimes, she realized, the best choices are the ones that break all the rules. Together, they watched the sun rise on a new day, knowing that somewhere in the vast cosmos, both their civilizations were about to learn that the most powerful force in the universe isn't perfect order or pure chaos, it's what happens when both come together in harmony.